Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. We got some big crypto news, folks. You better be alive. You better be paying attention because it was just announced today, Tuesday, January 9th, right after the market close, that all spot Bitcoin ETFs have been approved. Yes, you are hearing me right. An official statement from the SEC just came out. All spot Bitcoin ETFs have been approved. We have some major breaking news. Folks, you gotta check this out. Like, this is history. You are literally witnessing history right now. Look at this. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Bitcoin, it was just announced at 411. Bitcoin went from 46.7K all the way up to 47.9K, quickly dropped all the way down to 45.6K, and now we're sitting just above 46. Folks, you are seeing history in real time. SEC approves Bitcoin ETFs for trading. The SEC has approved rule change applications to allow the first Bitcoin ETFs in the US, paving the way for the long-awaited funds to begin trading as soon as this week. The decision will likely lead to the conversion of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which holds about 29 billion of the cryptocurrency, into an ETF, as well as the launch of competing funds from mainstream issuers like BlackRock's iShares. The approval could prove to be a landmark event in the adoption of cryptocurrency by mainstream finance, as the ETF structure gives institutions and financial advisors a familiar and regulated way to buy exposure to Bitcoin. So let me show you. I have this right here. I have this kind of saved up. Actually, did I have it on my Twitter a bit ago? Is it on my likes, or did I end up, where was it? Of what happened with the Bitcoin adoption. I think I just did it recently, right here. So 1980, and then in the early 2000s, a gold ETF was introduced right here. This is the early 2000s. So obviously, if you time adjust it, Bitcoin went up, came down. We're looking for the approval of the spot ETF, and this is no guarantee. There's no guarantee of where things are going, but look at what happened to gold. Looks like a very similar potential path for Bitcoin itself. All right. We think that the SEC approval, should we and others get it, is a green light for institutions. We've been talking to quite a few of them, and they're much more interested now that the SEC effectively is paving the way, according to CEO Kathy Wood of ARK Invest. She was on CNBC's halftime report just yesterday. Actually, what did she have to say about this? Is it a quick clip, or is it going to be a long thing? Yep, way too long. The SEC has 4 years opposed a so-called Bitcoin fund, with several firms filing and then withdrawing applications for ETFs in the past. SEC Chair Gensler has been an outspoken critic of crypto during the tenure. However, the regulator appeared to change course on the ETF question in 2023, possibly due to part in August loss to Grayscale in court, which criticized the SEC for blocking Bitcoin ETFs while allowing funds to track Bitcoin futures. I'm no lawyer. I don't speak any legalese, but to my understanding, that basically ensured that the SEC couldn't block this. It was just more of a question of when, and the answer is today, the 9th. Today, the SEC grants approval for Bitcoin ETFs for listing on all registered national security exchanges. The approved Bitcoin ETFs will be subject to ongoing surveillance and compliance measures to ensure continued investor protection. That's what happens with literally all of this. Optimism around approval first reemerged this year, blah, 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 blah. If you want the list, if you want the skinny, it is right here. I tweeted it out. Feel free to check it out. SEC has approved all Bitcoin ETFs: VanEck, Bitwise, Fidelity, Franklin, Valkyrie, Hashdex, ARK Invest, Grayscale, BlackRock, WisdomTree, and Invesco Galaxy. All of them. And this is what is going on with Gensler. Today's approval enhances market transparency and provides investors with efficient access to digital asset investments within a regulated framework. Just came out, breaking news just past the market close, 4 p.m. And obviously crypto popped up, came down. I guess buy the rumor, sell the news. It's going to be a lot of volatility. I'm not the person who's actively trading it right now. I'm just here for the fun to see how crazy stuff gets. Almost got up to 48K, just dipped to 45K, hello, volatility. Let's see what the news people are saying about this. I mean, it has to be all over right now, but that's the skinny on the situation. It just got approved. They all got approved, and now it's going to be a mad rush to see who can get the most money. Let's see. Are they talking about it here on Bloomberg? Maybe.
SEC has not approved the listing and trading of exchange-traded products, which matches what we heard from a spokesperson. But the fact that a Twitter account could be compromised perhaps raises more questions about that platform specifically and how this happened.
It was hacked?
What it ultimately means for the potential eventual
No, this is a hack?
Is definitely a question. But again, you're seeing prices manipulated by headlines like this, and this has always been one of his primary concerns.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Twitter account or the X account here that posted that I keep wanting to say the word tweet, but it's not the tweet anymore. And the last time it actually posted was on June 5th, 2023. There's a post here that is pinned at the very top from 2022. So it's really interesting
Switching
here
the
that
title
if you go
right
to
now,
the
that's
at
crazy.
SEC Gov handle, they haven't posted this or anything recently. So this is something to keep an eye on here as we try to sift through all the data. We go back to Bitcoin prices and how they've been all over the place. They spiked and then they've lost ground. They're now down about 3%. MicroStrategy, Shanali, which has become kind of a proxy for Bitcoin in many ways. It's a company, but they basically just buy Bitcoin, has moved in a similar direction.
Yeah, Bitcoin now barreling down below 46,000. Remember, we have been sustained above that mark the last couple of days here. We even breached 47,000. These are the highest levels that we've seen since 2022. So very sensitive moments for Bitcoin itself. A potential hoax here, really impacting a market in real time. Again, we've been waiting for this SEC approval. There's no assurance that it will necessarily come. The Twitter account of the SEC seems to have been compromised, and now we're looking at a question of what happens from here in terms of how the SEC approaches this product.
All right. Well, we're marshaling the full resources that we have here at Bloomberg.
Wow.
Romaine Bostic, alongside Scarlett Fu,
That's
Shanali
crazy.
Bassick, along for the ride, as is Keely Lyons down in Washington. We do want to go out now to our ETF IQ extraordinaire, Eric Balchunas.
This is
talk a little bit
crazy.
more about what we know.
It
and more
was
importantly,
hacked.
Eric, about
SEC's
what we
account
can
was
expect.
hacked.
There was a deadline where they were supposed to make a decision. That deadline is still out there, right, Eric?
Yeah, tomorrow's the deadline. By the way, I have a theory on
This
this
is
whole thing.
crazy.
If you're reading the tweet, my guess is they prepared a tweet and they put the wrong day. Because if this tweet were to go out tomorrow at the exact time, it would have made perfect sense with all of our intel. We heard by many good sources that the SEC had requested issuers to request acceleration tomorrow at 4 p.m. And then what that means is acceleration means you're then going to be made effective. So effectively, we were expecting the 19B4s approved, the acceleration, and everything to happen in a whirlwind between 4 and 5 p.m. tomorrow. This tweet would have made perfect sense at that time. So my theory, we'll see what plays out, is it wasn't compromised, but that they just planned the tweet and they put the wrong day in. But I could be wrong. I will say that I still expect, we all expect, high odds, almost like 99% at this point, that tomorrow they'll get approved and Thursday they'll trade. So this is just one of those never-ending roller coaster days covering this.
So, I mean, whoever was handling the social media responsibilities over the SEC made a mistake. If that's the case, why would Gensler say the SEC Twitter account was compromised? If the plan was all along to approve them, they could say, you know what, we published this early, but yes, this is the action we were going to take anyway. That's what happens oftentimes when companies are due to report earnings and it comes out a little bit earlier than expected.
Like I said, that's my theory.
I guess this is not accurate.
Maybe somebody was compromised, but I read the tweet. If you think about the crypto world, I don't know if they're writing that kind of language. It really does sound SEC-ish.
That's fair.
It
Apparently, it was hacked and then sent early.
You can almost tell sometimes that it's some knucklehead.
Yeah.
This read very much like a real SEC tweet.
Yeah, in conversation with Eric Balchunas over at Bloomberg Intelligence. I want to go back down to Washington, where Keely Lyons, co-host of Balance of Power, is still standing by. And Keely, we should point out here, if this was a compromised situation, if this was, as Eric is speculating, maybe potentially they were setting something up on embargo and somebody just hit the wrong button or did put the wrong date in, we should point out it's been 20 minutes since that tweet went out. It's still up.
It's still up.
Yeah, I keep refreshing
even
the
this,
page, Romaine, to see if the
CNBC,
tweet goes
everyone
away,
felt,
and it remains
holy
up
crap.
On the SEC Gov official page. I don't know if that raises questions as to whether or not they are able to get into the account to delete it, or if Gary Gensler's clarification on his own personal account as the SEC chairman is supposed to provide clarity enough. But one would think that this would have been removed if indeed this was a hoax, if it was a hacking situation. I would just keep in mind that Gary Gensler's relationship with this platform and these things in particular has often been a problem. If you remember, there was rumors circulating on this platform over the summer that he was actually resigning as chair of the SEC. That proved to be untrue. So obviously a lot of headaches when it comes to this with the SEC.
Yeah, and just looking at his personal page, the last time he posted was on January 1st to wish everyone Happy New Year, and there's been nothing there since. Once we do expect to hear from the SEC formally in a way where they say this is what we actually posted, this is what we announced, what other information do we expect to go along with the announcement that the Bitcoin ETFs have been approved?
Well, theoretically, Scarlett, you would get the information on which ETFs we're talking about, knowing that there's about 11 in play of either new filings or a conversion in the case of Grayscale, a switch in strategy in the case of Hashdex. Usually there would be more specific information. And as always, with any government agency, typically this information is available or would be put out in a press release on something like sec.gov. And I was not able to find that when I came on to address these breaking news in the first place, which maybe is a tell. Theoretically, though, especially with all of the buildup to this decision, knowing that they were facing down this deadline and everyone is awaiting news on this, it would be a little bit more organized and detailed than just a post on X like this.
All right, and we should point out, again, just to kind of reiterate here, Gary Gensler also posting on X, and this is on his personal account, or the account that's under his name, at Gary Gensler, saying that the SEC Gov Twitter account was compromised and an unauthorized tweet was posted. It says the SEC has not approved the listing and trading of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded products.
So that was at 4:26
here in our New York studios. We're also in conversation with Kelly Lyons and Eric Balchunas. Shonali, I mean, there's going to be a lot of speculation as to what happened, what didn't happen. Jesus. At the end of the day, they still have to make a decision, or at least the anticipation is they have to make that decision. Do you think we're going to see anything materially different, maybe in 24 hours' time,
what
than what
a
we
clown
saw
show.
just over the last 20 minutes?
Is ridiculous.
And I had the same thought. The fact that there was this kind of a mistake, until we know where the mistake came from, can the SEC then move forward and say, okay, we can rightfully still approve this in that deadline? They could always punt, right? They could always push it as they have before. They could also deny application. They could ask for more information, as we've seen last-minute amendments to the filings just this morning. Now, the idea of the market here, and you saw the reaction and pricing of Bitcoin, was that those amendments, those quick movements, were the SEC trying to move forward and get this page cleared and get past this moment so that, you know, we can get these things approved with certainty now that there are so many issuers. But does this change the equation? We don't even really know how this compromise, as Gary Gensler called it. Remember, think about just the influence that X, or previously Twitter, has had on financial markets alone in the last several years.
Did they pull it? Did CNBC have to pull everything?
The SEC has had over this type of these type of issues and disclosures. Was it a breach? Was it not a breach? Right? I mean, they need to
compromised, as in like someone just hit send a day early.
I mean, if you believe the idea that approving these things somehow provides greater oversight, greater transparency, and this is the rollout, whether it was intentional, whether it was some fat finger thing or whatever, it's not a good look one way or the other.
Someone's trolling the SEC.
It's not a good look for SEC. It's certainly not a good look for X. I don't know why anybody's
there. Is it a good look for the crypto industry? I'm not sure either. Eric Balchunas, as you move forward with planning ahead for your coverage tomorrow on the Bitcoin ETFs, what would issuers have to say about this? How would they respond to this messy rollout that we're seeing this afternoon?
What is going on right now?
I don't think they like it.
Are you not entertained?
Everybody's ready to pop champagne corks. Remember, this has been 10 years in the making. So I quote tweeted it and said, boom. I mean, I thought.
So did I. I deleted my tweets. I didn't think that the SEC got hacked.
Again, I was expecting all of this to happen 4 to 5 p.m. tomorrow. So my guess is the industry, if you've been in this for the last 6 months, this has happened. Cointelegraph did something recently, a month ago, saying iShares was approved. That caused the problem. And then some guy recently, who a researcher said it wasn't getting approved. That caused the price to go down. We're kind of like, road tough at this point. I don't, I'm used to it, I guess, and I think the issuers are. But I think more, they just want to get these things on the market, get them trading. They spend a lot of money on lawyers. They're ready to go. Let's do this. The SEC also put in thousands of man hours helping these issuers get 200-page documents into playing shape over the last month. So unfortunate, whatever the reason, but I still see this happening over the next 48 hours.
I do want to get your thoughts, Eric, on a conversation that we had just prior to this. We were speaking with Dennis Kelleher, the co-founder.
It would be great if the
Markets,
SEC would stop manipulating the Bitcoin market.
And he was kind of making the case here that, at least for the retail investors, there's still an element of risk and fraud that, at least in his mind, is just way too outsized for this thing to really be out there here. And I am curious as to not only your own personal thoughts, but of the folks that you talk to in the industry, how they plan to address that risk and that fear.
Yeah, I think the idea that it's new and it's exciting and a little risky is sort of part of what makes it so interesting as an investment. Most people, like normal people, are not buying this as 100% of the portfolio. They're going to put a little of this on their portfolio, like hot sauce or a speculation. They don't want to miss out in case this does become like a legit currency or goes up 3 or 4-fold from here. So my take on to Dennis Kelleher and that Better Markets is what they don't address is that you can already get exposure in a multitude of ways that are way more flawed than an ETF or expensive, whether it's a crypto exchange, right, which is unregulated, or whether it's MicroStrategy stock or GBTC, which is an ETF.
This is
ETFs
so freaking
are
funny.
famous for giving investors the fairest shake at a good deal. And so that's really something they don't address. He just thinks it should be outlawed totally, which is a different debate.
What does he mean by that? I think we should get rid of Gary Gensler.
That you could add to your portfolio that have just as much sizzle or risk as a crypto investment, in my opinion. And I just think, it's okay to speculate. Like, not everything needs to be banned. Investors should have a little freedom to choose what they want. This is what Hester Peirce and some of the other commissioners believe. You just have to disclose all the risks. And these documents that are part of these Bitcoin ETFs, the disclosure pages are like dozens of pages of risk disclosure. So I think they've done a good job of letting people know.
All right, I appreciate all you guys jumping in on this.
Where's the price at?
Eric Balchunas,
coming back?
Of course, Bloomberg Intelligence, co-host of ETF IQ. Our thanks to Keely Lines down in Washington, who also hosts Balance of Power, which comes on immediately after this program. And our very own Shanali Basak here in New York covers everything Wall Street for us.
And we should know, and thank you to Keely for pointing this out, the tweet that the SEC handle had tweeted out has finally been taken down. That post no longer exists on X. So what the SEC was saying was that it was sent out by accident or it was compromised. That posting no longer exists.
All right, I guess the moral of the story here is, wait for the official filing coming out of the SEC and not necessarily the posts on social media. A lot that has to be sorted out by the folks over at X, by the folks at the SEC. Stick with us. We'll have full coverage of all that as soon as it happens.
Jesus Christ, Gary, get your shit together.
Go back out to Las Vegas, where that CES conference is taking place. A big focus this year on AI, a big focus on chips. Who better to talk?
What's CNBC saying, dude? I love this.
To make sure that we can,
expected to potentially get some news around
through the same
Bitcoin ETF.
So wild. So wild.
ETF. It has affected the unauthorized tweet regarding.
Welcome back to Overtime. We have more breaking news on the Bitcoin ETF stuff. Kate Rooney has those details. Kate.
Morgan, a bit of a twist here. The ETF decision, the SEC now saying that its Twitter and X account has been compromised. It has not made a decision yet on that Bitcoin ETF. We have a statement here from an SEC spokesperson saying that the SEC Gov Twitter/X account has been compromised. The unauthorized tweet regarding Bitcoin ETFs was not made by the SEC or its staff. Gary Gensler putting out a similar statement, the chair of the SEC there. But again, it does appear the SEC's account has been compromised and has not yet made a decision on a Bitcoin ETF. It has affected prices here, Morgan, as you guys were talking about. And Bitcoin, at least for now, is still moving to the downside.
I would pay so much money
on that
if I could listen to what was going on in the SEC
news,
right
but
now.
A compromised account there, and it appears the SEC's Twitter account has been hacked. That news, again, moving prices here. But back over to you guys.
But Gary Gensler's Twitter account, I suppose, has not been hacked, so far as we know. The part to me that's weirdest about this, A, we're in a time when we expected the news to come through this account, but then we're hearing about the hack through the same platform where they apparently were hacked. Is there any kind of a press conference or statement outside of X that we can expect to hear on this?
So I should clarify, John, the statement that we got from the SEC was from an emailed SEC spokesperson here. So we have an emailed statement from the SEC clarifying what's going on Twitter and X. Although, again, Gary Gensler's account retweeting that and putting out a similar statement that, yes, that account has been hacked. But taking things away from X and Twitter for a second, we do have an official statement from a verified SEC spokesperson here over email that says we have not made a decision yet.
Okay, and so I'm just going to reiterate it one more time. It would appear that X has been hacked, that the U.S. government, the SEC, has not been hacked, which in of itself would have been quite interesting since the SEC is also regulating all of these cybersecurity issues and hacks.
Someone sent off a tweet early.
So private sector
no one was
as
hacked.
Well right now.
No one broke into Twitter. No one broke into the SEC.
We don't have this. Focus on the SEC website, perhaps, rather than some of the social media platforms.
Exactly. No word yet. And that it has been compromised. But again, as John mentioned, this was an afternoon in which we expected to potentially get some news around this, if not tomorrow. So it does come on a day when markets were very much pricing this in and expecting this news. So, yeah, absolutely. The timing here is suspicious.
This is so funny.
We'll wait for the official SEC email at least. And we're making some calls on this, but we'll keep you posted.
All right, Kate Rooney, thank you.
Thanks.
We're going to shift gears here. Jack in the Box shares down 5% today.
No one cares about Jack in the Box. I'm telling you.
Luxury consumer spending fell 15% this holiday season.
No one cares about that either. SEC says it did not yet approve Bitcoin ETF. X account was compromised. Compromised, as in someone hit the send button, or maybe they didn't know how to schedule the tweet properly. This legitimately means that in the year 2024, the biggest crypto market manipulator is the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. You cannot disagree with that statement. In the year 2024, the U.S. SEC is the biggest crypto market manipulator. How insane is that? That is ridiculous. And we just, I guess, live in a clown show right now. We absolutely live in a clown show. Can it officially approve tomorrow? It could, but I want to get your thoughts on that. And if you guys are watching right now, I appreciate you here if you're in real time. Do you think that this is going to kind of embarrass the SEC to the point that they just come up with a reason to not approve it? Because all of a sudden, is it a bad look on crypto? Dude, no one got hacked. I would bet so much money that this was an honest error by some employee at the SEC. It was compromised. No one hacked in to send off a professional sounding tweet a day early. I'm not guaranteed. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I feel very confident this was just an honest mistake at someone at the SEC that doesn't know how to use Twitter. It was a scheduling error. It was obviously a scheduling error. A hacker wouldn't hack in and be professional. They'd be like, F you, we're never approving crypto, or we're deleting all stocks, only crypto. They would make it more comedic. It would be more ridiculous. They wouldn't tweet out a very SEC sounding thing a day early before we're expecting that exact announcement. Come on. CNBC breaking says now it is not approved. Yeah, dude, you're a little late on that one. We've been talking about that for a hot minute now. If you're watching this in real time, it's not real. It was compromised. The old compromise. Let's see if anyone's talking about it right now.
Powered by it.
I think it's still early
Nope,
days.
he's not talking about it. Okay, I guess everyone's kind of dropped it at this point. On the erroneous news, Bitcoin went from 46.7K up to 47.9K, all the way down to 44.7K. Dude, people are getting liquidated left, right, and center on this news. That's crazy. If you're joining right now, it was reported that all Bitcoin ETFs were approved. Then a couple of minutes later, they said, SEC Twitter account compromised, not real. And Gary Gensler put that out. And I guess then the SEC followed up by emailing news stations, mainstream media, that no, we did not approve it yet. So we're still expecting that by tomorrow. I even thought it was odd that it was approved a day early, knowing the SEC, they always push things as far as they possibly can. But here we are right now in real time. They said they announced it, and then they said they were compromised and it's not real. And now tomorrow, we're all just like awkwardly waiting for tomorrow. This is a very, very awkward thing for tomorrow. It felt like the odds were pretty high going into it, but now seeing this craziness, no one saw this coming. This was a curveball, a double, the old double, because no one expected this craziness. This just is continuing to add to the circus that is the clown show that is the SEC. This is wild. This is absolutely wild. Well, folks, that's what I have for you right now. I have the breaking news that's not really the news that we expected it to be, but it's a lot more hilarious. Not the positive news that we want, but much more comedic news. So I appreciate you stopping by. This is truly nuts. We're going to be streaming once again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., bright and early. I hope to see you there. And hopefully tomorrow we actually have some legitimately good crypto news. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. I'll catch you in the morning. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Have a good one. Peace out.